One of the things I learned through HIA was that no one is voiceless. It's all about access to a microphone. And so just start. And it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be scared, but just be a part of this and speak up for what you believe in.
You have people with a lot of different stories, and it's not always the case that you can have such rich experiences with people who are so passionate about what they want to do and how they want to change their communities, their countries, or the world.
Without HIA, the world would miss a lot of things the world needs right now. Things like wisdom, knowledge, expertise, and community. And people who actively commit to human rights, who make the commitment to implement human rights everywhere to their profession.
I never really anticipated myself leading an organization, let alone building a movement. The impact that HIA had on me, they were one of the first to say, I choose you. I believe that what you're doing is important. And here are the resources, here is the finances, and here is the community that will support you on that journey. I didn't believe that that was going to be the moment that was going to ultimately change my whole career path. Now I'm engaging with some of the most high up leaders in this country, speaking to people who hold influence and power that can ultimately change the fabric of our society. I've learned how to manage teams, how to engage with funders, how to build community, how to manage conflict. I've learned how to become a better version of myself. This journey has made me feel empowered and confident in myself. I'm just living the dream that I never even thought I wanted to have.
So many democracies worldwide, they degrade. And I think when activists become activists, it's at an increasing personal risk to also speak out and raise your voice, because you will probably be confronted with many people who disagree and many times violently disagree with you. And I think without humanitarian action, many activists, they would be much more alone. Without this community, there would be much more silencing, much more successful silencing, because I think it is so important that in these moments when you get attacked as an activist, you need the community to then be able to get going, to have advice. I really applied for the fellowship because I was very much interested in learning more about the spaces of human rights and minority rights. And through the fellowship, I really started to become active, voluntarily engaged as an activist in the space of Holocaust commemoration, which I hadn't done before. So get a lot of inspiration with the exchange with the other community members. I even got offered a job through the HIA community, so really even shaped my career path a lot. And I would say I'm probably bolder regarding having a voice in the public discussions. To really speak out publicly, I think there was at least a big hurdle for me before the fellowship. To be able to do that, there was a large part which helped me in doing that and enabling that was really the support, the training and the discussions with the humanitarian action community.
One of the things I learned through HIA was that no one is voiceless. It's all about access to a microphone. And so just start. And it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be scared, but just be a part of this and speak up for what you believe in. I believe in greater diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think that we should be doing work that brings more people to the table, empowers more people, brings in people so that they can live their best lives. And the work that I was doing when I was back in college and going through the HIA program is still very much central to the work that I do now. I think in my social justice journey, I've learned just how important it is to build community. You can't do this work alone, how meaningful it is to do this with people that you care about, who care about the things that you care about, and who want to also make a difference. HIA has been such a source of support and a place of inspiration. I'm very proud that, in fact, one of my colleagues was in the cohort with me and is now the communications director for the Washington State Democrats. And, the work that we were doing to uplift and learn about human rights that's still very much alive and well, and we're doing that work now, and I'm so grateful for that experience.
Judy, who is the founder of Humanity in Action, and her incredible persistence of making things happen. And the network of people that she's created has very much inspired the way that I think about problem solving, right? That there are other approaches if you can come up with them. To me, that's one of the things that has had the most lasting impact on me. It's also a community that there are the mentors and the peers that I've now known for 15 years. And then there's also the new folks that I meet from the network. The ability to skip the small talk and just dive straight into real meaty conversation and support. The work that I've been doing has taken so many twists and turns since I've embarked on this mission to provide access to folks within my communities. And Humanity in Action has been there with me through all the twists and turns to guide, advise, connect, and support me in a journey that would otherwise have been quite lonely. I don't know how you would do it without a partner like that.
Without HIA, the world would miss a lot of things the world needs right now. Things like wisdom, knowledge, expertise, and community. And people who actively commit to human rights. Everyone in HIA, in the network, is a change agent. And this is what we need in times where anti-democratic dynamics are very real. We need real activism as the answer to that. And as Audre Lorde said, your silence will not protect you. So we need to speak up, not just be in our maybe rooms and discuss the problems of the world, but being active change agents, change makers on the streets. In these times where I feel isolated, where I have fear about the future, HIA and the fellows are the answer, for me at least. The answer to my fear, to my experience of social fragmentation, to my experience of exclusion. So being in the training, being in this Action Academy feels like a daily based empowerment, a daily based healing, a daily based improvement of your skills, like on this personal skill level, but also when it comes to the emotional level.
Project that was supported with HIA was called This Is Them. That little seed that was invested in us, it springboarded us into being on a national platform. When we started our project, we didn't know what we were doing, we weren't tracking on the impact. And as we developed and as we grew, we have really amped up the work. In terms of people that we've engaged online in 2024, we had over 500,000 impression on the content that we engage in terms of diverse voices. And we have a program called the Wide Shot program that supports young adults from marginalized background to enter the media industry, because once they have the tools to tell their own stories, then we can make this movement massive. So we've engaged with over 80 young people in our program to support them in mentorship, facilitation, and entering the media industry. So the impact has been just phenomenal, and ultimately I cannot even begin to reminisce and imagine how it could have been done without the support that we had from HIA.
I think Holocaust commemoration is so important because this deals with questions of inclusion, of power, of belonging, of identity in who we are. Just a month before the fellowship, I learned that there was a Nazi crime that actually led to the creation of the public policy school that I just finished studying at. So I decided to really make this kind of topic a project for the Action Project, which is part of the fellowship. And this really grew to an initiative which is still ongoing for the last 7 years. Humanity in Action was very, I would say, paramount in enabling me and enabling us as a team of volunteers to do this work. And I would say HIA mainly did this through, first of all, more knowledge. So I learned a lot more about Holocaust commemoration and then felt more comfortable in this space. Also, there was a lot of trainings. Often when we realize that democracies are in danger, it's often too late. So I think it needs to be very important for all people in society to be very sensitive regarding the first signs, to be very active in protecting rule of law and democratic institutions, to have really those stories and to see the history, how this happened. This can very much enable us to try to stop these processes happening again.
So, when I first got involved in Humanity in Action, certainly we were facing many of the challenges that we are facing today. There were people who were dealing with, job losses and trying to get fair wages. We were at war in the Middle East. People were really struggling and trying to figure out how to make a difference. And we're still facing those issues. And my work then was about how do we get more people involved and how do we build a more diverse and larger tent for this work. And it continues to be just that. My HIA project was about unpacking what we called the black box, and it was about music and culture in the African American Black community and ties between direct immigrants from Africa and Black Americans who have been here for many years and their sort of engagement. And that is still something that I think about regularly, of how do we make sure that we are allowing people to bring their whole selves to this work. The journey in this work makes me feel empowered and inspired, and that it's meaningful, and that I'm doing the best with the time that I have on this earth. I think that it's important that we try to find those ways to make a difference, and I feel really proud to have started with HIA and to continue.
One of the problems that I see in our society today is this massive disconnect between what we've made available and who is actually able to access it. An obsession of mine for the last decade is to turn all 30,000 laundromats across the US into spaces where we have librarians and community health workers and social workers on site to help answer questions that are top of mind for you. My project with Humanity in Action gave me a lot of tools and insights and learnings that shape the work that I do today around collaboration and trust building. And so I come back to this, right? That the best way I've seen to create impact is to deeply, deeply invest in one community and to stick it through. Because if there's anything that the fellowship repeated and taught me over and over again, it is that societies are as strong as the weakest minorities within that society.
I completed my action project actually on Hanau. That was a terrorist attack that happened on the 19th February 2020. And my action project was about creating community, about creating social cohesion within minority communities. We can create connection in times of fear, in times of anger, in times of separation. I'm a bridge between these communities that suffer and the network of HIA. After Hanau happened, and after seeing all the dynamics right now, for me, HIA is the answer. It's a confirmation that we need HIA. We need the network, the trainings, the coming together and conceptualizing a different world to make change, to make transformation.
never really anticipated myself leading an organization, let alone building a movement. The impact that HIA had on me, they were one of the first to say, I choose you. I believe that what you're doing is important, and here are the resources, here is the finances, and here is the community that will support you on that journey.
I think the cornerstone of HIA are the values they have, and what they do is they really reflect upon power. You know, they really reflect upon that the space is your space. Meeting them, being in the cohort, having this community, meeting people who are going through the same struggles has really benefited me.
The work that I've been doing has taken so many twists and turns, and Humanity in Action has been there with me through all the twists and turns to guide, advise, connect, and support me in a journey that would otherwise have been quite lonely. I don't know how you would do it without a partner like that.
Five core values of Humanity in Action as an organization: equality, dignity, respect, collaboration, and perseverance.
When I think about the values that define Humanity in Action as an organization, I think about empathy, I think about tolerance, I think about education, I think about inspiration.
Compassion, a thirst for knowledge, and a willingness to engage in dialogue.
The importance of understanding the world from a variety of perspectives and building relationships with people outside of maybe like your own professional sphere.
I think it's an organization that's constantly aspiring.
Is always coming back to the idea that it's our responsibility to use those tools that we're learning, draw from the experiences, and do something in the communities that matter to us.
Humanity in Action is a group of individuals from many parts of the world who are focused on promoting good and doing good themselves through action, and deciding what type of action they're going to take through concentrated, deliberate dialogue.
I think it's about friendships. I think it's sometimes pretty joyful.
And the fellows have an amazing energy and enthusiasm and commitment to issues that have always been important to me.
There is this community of people who are committed to these same set of values, who are constantly looking for opportunities to work together toward the same goals, whether they're in the same industry or field or not.
I think the role of HIA today is both to provide a space for dialogue and a space for healing.
I think of it as very much a space where people come to learn from each other and support each other, oftentimes in serious ways, but also in ways that can just be really fun and uplifting. And I think that that's really important to the work that we do.
And I think HIA does a good job of balancing having humility as we engage the world and try and heal it, but at the same time feeling empowered by the community that we have around us to do pretty incredible things.
It also helps you to build up a network of like-minded people, and they help you throughout your whole life to keep true to your core values and not forget them.
I think one core value of Humanity in Action is that no matter how bad things get, no matter how deterred or discouraged we are, we keep fighting for what's important.
It tries to cultivate a sense in its fellows that many of the challenges we're facing now have historical precedent, and that many of the challenges that we're facing have international or transnational dimensions, and that only sort of together and across a variety of professions and disciplines and nations will we be able to really grapple with the complexity of understanding them as well as proposing possible solutions.